Hey scholars, today you will learn about the structure of Earth. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to know what are the layers of the Earth, what is the composition of the layers of Earth. Before we begin, let's activate some prior knowledge. Take 1 minute, pause, and answer the following 3 questions. What are the difference between the lithosphere and the Earth crust? What is magma? What is lava? What are the difference between the lithosphere and the Earth crust? The lithosphere is the solid outer part of the Earth, which is composed of the upper mantle and the crust. The crust is the outer part of the lithosphere, composed of continental and oceanic crust. What is magma? Magma is a hot semi-fluid of molten rock found in the Earth crust. What is lava? Lava is a hot semi-fluid of molten rock that has reached the surface. The molten rock in the Earth crust is magma. When magma is exposed to the surface, it will no longer be magma. The molten rock that is exposed to the surface will be called now lava. The Earth is our home planet, and it is where we were all born. The Earth is a rocky and terrestrial planet with a solid and active surface, and with active layers that make up the composition of the Earth. The Earth's interior is still warm, and it is divided into 4 main layers. These 4 main layers are the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, which is subdivided into an upper mantle and a lower mantle, and the crust. The inner core is the innermost layer of the Earth. The inner core is hot, rigid, and solid, mainly composed of the elements nickel and iron. The distance from the Earth's surface to the inner core have a radius of 6,371 kilometers or 3,960 miles. Nickel and iron were formed during the formation of the solar system and the Earth 4.6 billion years ago. During the heavy bombardment, asteroids brought these 2 elements into the Earth, and this element sank down into the Earth core. The outer core is the second innermost layer of the Earth. The outer core is hot and liquid, mainly composed of the element nickel and iron. The distance from the Earth's surface to the outer core have a radius of 5,155 kilometers or 3,200 miles. Let's put what we have learned into practice. What is the composition of the inner core? What is the composition of the outer core? Pause and answer the following two questions. What is the composition of the inner core? The inner core is hot, rigid, and solid, mainly composed of the elements nickel and iron. What is the composition of the outer core? The outer core is hot and liquid, mainly composed of the elements nickel and iron. Now we will discuss the mantle, which is the third layer found after the outer core. The mantle is a semi-solid layer subdivided into the upper mantle and the lower mantle. The lower mantle is composed of one type of layer called the mesosphere. The upper mantle is composed of two layers, the asthenosphere and the lithosphere. The lower mantle, the mesosphere. The lower mantle is called the mesosphere. The mesosphere is a rigid, semi-solid, molten rock. The word semi means half of something. Semi-solid simply means that the mesosphere has a solid property and also viscous properties. Viscous is a property of viscosity. Viscosity is the resistance of a fluid to flow. Viscosity has both liquid and solid properties at the same time. In simple terms, the lower mantle is semi-solid, which means that it has both solid and viscous properties. The lower mantle has a distance radius from the surface of 2,900 kilometers or 1,800 miles or 1,800 miles. The upper mantle, the asthenosphere, and the lithosphere. The upper mantle is composed of two distinct layers, the asthenosphere and the lithosphere. The asthenosphere and the lithosphere are two distinct layers. The asthenosphere is a layer of highly viscous and molten rock located below the lithosphere. The asthenosphere is weak and can break easily. A good example of high viscosity or high viscous is a plastic that burns in fire. When the plastic is burned, the plastic melts and becomes highly viscous. Another example of viscous is honey. When you put honey on a surface, it can barely move. The lithosphere. The lithosphere is part of the upper mantle and is divided into two different crusts, the continental crust and the oceanic crust. The lithosphere has a lower density than the asthenosphere. And since the lithosphere has a lower density, it floats in the asthenosphere, similar to a boat floating in water. Next, we will discuss the crust. The crust is the outermost layer of the earth. The layer, the crust layer, is divided into two parts, the continental crust and the oceanic crust. The continental crust is a very thick layer composed of light materials such as the rock granite. The oceanic crust is very thin compared to the continental crust, which is very thick. The oceanic crust is composed of heavy materials, such as the rock basalt. Let's put what we have learned into practice. Pause right now and answer the following 6 questions. Number 1, what are the layers of the earth? Number 2, what is the composition of the inner core and the outer core? Number 3, what is the mantle? Number 4, what are the 2 major divisions of the mantle? Number 5, what are the 2 major subdivisions of the upper mantle? Number 6, what is the composition of the lithosphere? Pause right now and answer these following questions. Number 1, what are the layers of the earth? The layers of the earth are the inner core, the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. Number 2, what is the main composition of the inner core and the outer core? The inner core is hot, rigid, and solid, mainly composed of the elements nickel and iron. The outer core, in contrast, the outer core is hot and liquid, mainly composed of the element of nickel and iron. Number 3, what is the mantle? The mantle is a semi-solid layer subdivided into the upper mantle and the lower mantle. Number 4, what are the 2 major subdivisions of the mantle? 2 major subdivisions of the mantle are the lower mantle and the upper mantle. The lower mantle, which is composed of the mesosphere, and the upper mantle, which is composed of the asthenosphere and the lithosphere. What are the 2 major subdivisions of the upper mantle? The asthenosphere and the lithosphere. Number 6, what is the composition of the lithosphere? The lithosphere is composed of the upper mantle, the ocean, and the continental crust.